Welcome to the Strange North channel. In this video, I'm going to show you the top 10 haunted locations in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And yes, people are divided over whether ghosts are even real or not. And honestly, I'm on the fence. Some places really do seem haunted and some places don't. But I really like looking at haunted locations within any given city because it helps me learn a lot more about that area's folklore and history. And wherever you fall on that spectrum of belief, I hope you find this interesting and informative. So let's get started. At number 1 is the Marr Residence. This is located in the oldest neighborhood in the city, Nutana, and this building is the oldest building in Saskatoon on its original site. It's now a National Historic Site, and this house was originally built in 1884 for local stonemason Alexander Marr, and a year after it was built, it was used as a field hospital during the Northwest Rebellion of 1885. Apparently, 2 ghosts haunt this building. The first ghost is that of an angry man who apparently torments women, and there have been stories of a disembodied male voice who makes very rude remarks. And supposedly there's also the ghost of a young child in this building who appears in the front window, sometimes appearing as a strange light, but people have also talked about seeing an orb with the face of a child in the front window. There was a mother who died during childbirth in this house while it was being used as a field hospital, and so this may explain the origin story of the ghostly young child. And so the Marr Residence is one of the classic haunted locations in Saskatoon. At number 2 is the Delta Bessborough Hotel. This is the most iconic building in Saskatoon. It was built in 1935 by the Canadian National Railway, and it's one of Canada's grand railway hotels. And like all of the other ones, this one is very haunted and one of the most haunted locations in the city. On the main floor of the hotel, there is a crack in the marble floor, and there are a couple stories that explain the origin of this crack. In one version, a bellhop tripped and fell down the stairs and died after he hit his head on the floor, and his ghost is said to haunt the hotel. But the more prominent story talks about a staff member who was attending a noise complaint on the 7th or 8th floor, and after he went up to talk to the people that were making all the noise, he ended up getting thrown off the balcony to his death, and he hit his head on the marble, and that explains the origin of this crack. And so this staff member who died is said to be one of the ghosts of the hotel. Another ghost that is seen in this building is that of a man in a gray suit and fedora who is very friendly and says hello to people but disappears when he's approached further. The creepiest ghost of the Bessborough is the ghostly woman on the 3rd floor. She apparently appears very gaunt and tired with messy hair and torn clothes, and according to the legend, if you're quiet and you ignore her, she just moves past you and doesn't acknowledge you. But if you're really loud or if you try to talk to her, she runs up to you, screams, and then runs away. And people have also talked about hearing children's voices around the main staircase, and it is thought to be children who died in this hotel. And this hotel is thought to be one of the most haunted locations in the city. At number 3 is St. Paul's Hospital. Again, old hospitals and cities tend to have ghost stories, and the stories coming out of St. Paul's are pretty typical. People talk about doors opening on their own, lights and faucets turning on and off on their own, and hearing disembodied voices and mysterious footsteps. But the creepiest ghosts of this building are the ghostly nuns who were seen walking around the basement of the building. And so St. Paul's Hospital definitely deserves a mention on this list. At number 4 is the Thorvaldson Building on the University of Saskatchewan campus. The building was named after Thorberger Thorvaldson, a prominent chemist who is very important in the field of concrete durability. And according to the legend, Thorvaldson requested to be entombed in the large concrete block on the front steps of the building when he passed away. And there is a prominent legend that this is the case, that his body sits in this block of concrete. The official story is that he is actually buried at a proper cemetery in the city, Woodlawn Cemetery. But the urban legend persists to this day, and the Thorvaldson Building is considered one of the haunted locations in the city. At number 5 is the Western Development Museum, and I apologize, I was not able to take a video inside this place, which I really wish I could have done. I didn't check before I left, and they were closed for maintenance when I arrived, so I got some video of the outside. The building is basically full of artifacts and machines and cars and household items that highlight Saskatchewan's history. There's an area called Boomtown Street, which is a street set up to look like Saskatoon in 1910 while the city was experiencing a boom in population and technological advancement. Some people feel that spirits and apparitions are attached to some of these items. A number of years ago, a Saskatoon production company shot a TV show in this building called The Other Side. It dealt with paranormal topics, and they were looking at ghostly activity in this building. During the production, the paranormal investigators claimed that they contacted the spirit of a little boy, as well as another spirit calling itself Lucky, and even the ghost of Robert Hambridge, who is Saskatchewan's 12th lieutenant governor and a prominent person in the province. Staff members in this building have reported all of your typical paranormal type activity, which are attributed to the ghosts. And the most prominent ghost in the museum is that of the woman in red who appears on the Boomtown Street, and she's been seen by many staff members over the years. And so this place is cool to check out if you're generally into history, but it's also one of the haunted locations in Saskatoon. Okay, at number 6 is the Saskatoon Club right in the heart of downtown. This is currently home to a business club, but it was originally founded in 1907 as a fraternity, a gentleman's club. And according to the legend, the second floor is home to the ghost of a young woman who was killed in this building. When she appears, she is surrounded by mist and she is glowing. She is described as a woman of about 30 years old, and she vanishes when anyone approaches her or tries to talk to her. This legend is very similar to the Assiniboia Club in Regina. This is another old historic gentleman's club that is currently being used for something else. But again, at the Assiniboia Club, apparently there was a sex worker who died in this building, and her ghost haunts that location to this day. And the Saskatoon Club is definitely one of the classics when you're talking about haunted locations in the city. At number 7 is the Peter MacKinnon Building on the University of Saskatchewan campus. It was opened in 1912, and this building is now a National Historic Site. The building is said to be haunted by Arthur Morton, who is the first history department head, and he apparently died suddenly one night in this building. This building also contains the Museum of Antiquities for the university, and apparently there are some ancient artifacts that are rumored to have paranormal energy associated with them. And so whether it's due to these ancient mystical artifacts or the ghost of Mr. Morton, the Peter MacKinnon Building is another haunted location on the University of Saskatchewan campus. At number 8 is the E.A. Davies building on the Saskatchewan Polytechnic campus. This is thought to be one of the most haunted locations in the city. This building has had a few different uses over the years. It was opened in 1922, and it was used as a teacher's college early on. Later, it was utilized as a training facility for the Royal Canadian Air Force during the Second World War. And the origins of the ghosts within its walls are unclear. People have talked about seeing the apparition of a lady in a long dress who often appears in hallways. There are also stories of a ghostly young man in a dark suit who vanishes when you try to approach him. There are many stories of people hearing disembodied voices at various points from throughout this building, and people have talked about suddenly hearing the sound of a typewriter in an empty office. And so this building is generally thought to be one of the most haunted locations in Saskatoon. At number 9 is the Parktown Hotel. Honestly, this one surprised me. It just didn't seem to be a prominent enough building in the city to be haunted. It's not super old. It was opened in 1959, but apparently this hotel has as many as 13 ghosts. I won't go into all of them, but a few of the prominent stories are the ghost of a property owner who was very angry when he lost his property essentially due to pressure when the hotel was buying up surrounding properties during their expansion. And apparently his angry ghost haunts this hotel. There is a man who died in the hotel's pool, and apparently people have seen his apparition wandering around the halls. For many years, the hotel had a grand piano in its lobby, and people talked about seeing a ghostly young girl who would play the piano. And so this location surprised me, honestly, but the Parktown Hotel is definitely one of the haunted locations in the city. And at number 10 is the Senator Hotel. This is the oldest hotel in the city. It was opened in 1907. It's a really cool building, and staff members throughout the years have claimed that this building is seriously haunted. Typical things happen: doors slam shut, lights and taps turn on and off, and furniture moves around on its own. And the most famous ghost occurs around the bar. The bar stereo turns on and off on its own, but people have also talked about seeing the ghost of a man in a mustache standing behind the bar and then vanishing instantly. And unsurprisingly, like a lot of old historic hotels, this one has some ghostly activity. So those were the top 10 haunted locations in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And yes, there are a few more locations that are reportedly haunted in the city, and I'd like to get to those in another video down the road. And if you're interested in seeing more haunted locations in Saskatchewan, please watch my haunted locations in Regina video I posted last week. And down the road, I'm going to be posting a video on haunted locations in Saskatchewan outside of Regina and Saskatoon, so in some of the smaller cities and rural areas. And if you want to watch more of my content in general, please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be uploading at least one new video per week. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Strange North channel.